What should I do as an ordinary office worker when my wife, the high cold beautiful female president, takes her company public and her net worth skyrockets? What else can I do? Immediately file for divorce. Thinking for even 0.1 second longer would be disrespectful to the money. Receiving tens of millions in severance from my wife, I pack my bags and leave with style. Bing looks at me with teary eyes. You've got some nerve, Yefan, daring to bring up divorce to me. 5 years have passed. Do my brothers know how I've been living these past 5 years? I'm not afraid of losing a bet, but I'm afraid of quitting gambling. Whose child cries every day and whose gambler loses every day? Bing has finally made it, allowing me to achieve financial freedom. Of course, the real reason I wanted a divorce wasn't because she got rich. Who would do that in their right mind? The main reason was that I noticed some signs. Signs that Bing was about to cheat. To say I wasn't heartbroken would be a lie. With Bing's looks and figure, even if she were an idiot, I'd still accept her. From the day she became the company's CEO, I had a vague premonition that this day might come. Money makes men bad, but actually it's more appropriate to remove the word men. Anyone with money is bound to turn bad. Bing probably doesn't know that I overheard her accidentally when she was on a hands-free call in the restroom that day. He Chamran from the City magazine is not only handsome and capable, but also your alumni. Any thoughts? From the voice, it was her close friend Lu Ruyan. Bing replied while touching up her makeup, "Don't talk nonsense. We're just ordinary friends." Humph, don't I know you? Who in their right mind would give an ordinary friend a Mercedes-Benz AMG GT63? No matter how rich you are, you can't just splurge like that. Standing at the bathroom door, I froze. I had originally planned to ask her what she wanted for dinner, but now I was rooted to the spot. That luxury car is the dream ride for many men. Bing once said that when she had money, she would buy one for me. Now she has money and she bought one, but unfortunately, it's not for me. It's just a car, nothing special. Bing casually replied. Hearing this, Lu Ruyan let out a noncommittal laugh. All right, I'll keep an eye on him for you so he doesn't get snatched by another woman. Whatever. Bing said before hanging up the phone. Their conversation was as casual as small talk, discussing trivial matters. Yet, just a door away, I felt as if struck by a bolt from the blue. Back in the day, we mortgaged our marital home and borrowed money from everywhere to start the company. We didn't even have tens of thousands of dollars to host a wedding banquet. Recently, Bing suddenly remembered this and decided to hold a lavish wedding to make up for it. I thought it was because of love, but it turned out she was emotionally unfaithful and felt guilty, wanting to compensate me. As for whether she physically cheated or not, I can't say for sure. She values her reputation greatly, so she might not cheat during the marriage. However, women, the only constant characteristic is their fickleness. While she is affectionate with me here, it doesn't stop her from being good to another man. The love I want is mutual affection. Since she has thoughts of finding someone new, I don't want to occupy the magpie's nest. Contacted a lawyer and arranged to meet at a tea house. On the TV in the tea room, Bing's company was being broadcast as it went public, making her the city's richest person overnight. The one conducting the interviews and reporting was none other than Yi Chang, whom she had never met before. He appeared tall and upright, with handsome features, fair and tender like a fresh-faced young man. It seems that girls nowadays really like this kind of handsome guy. Yi Chang on TV is refined, gentle, and a true gentleman, well-versed in astronomy, geography, and history. He effortlessly quotes classical allusions and poems, showing no fear in front of live broadcasts and billionaires, not to mention women. Even I feel a sense of admiration for him. Seeing me glued to the TV, Chen Tao, my high school friend and lawyer, couldn't help but tease. He reminds me a lot of you back in college. This Yi Chang? I shot up from my seat. What the hell does he have in common with me? Look at him, clearly lacking in young energy. A pampered little pretty boy. I'm a real man. Chen Tao shook his head with a smile. We're all alumni and he's considered a well-known alumnus. At previous class reunions, everyone thought you two were the same type. I never expected that during my college years, I was seen as nothing more than a damn pretty boy in everyone's eyes. I wasn't in the mood to dwell on this issue any longer. I looked up at Chen Tao and said, I called you here to consult about something. I want a divorce. Chen Tao's hand trembled as he held his teacup and he stared at me in shock. Yefan, have you lost your mind? After all the debt you took on back then, things are finally looking up for you. And now you're telling me you want a divorce? Do you think I would ask you out just to joke about divorce? Chen Tao took a sip of tea, seemingly still unable to shake off the shock. But it's no wonder. 5 years ago, Bai Ningbing's company was on the verge of bankruptcy and she was about to become a dishonest debtor. It was me who resolutely took out my savings for a wife and even mortgaged the house I had worked hard to buy for our wedding. Finally, with a good reputation, I borrowed a lot of money to help Bai Ningbing through the crisis. If she hadn't turned things around, I would have either become a deadbeat or jumped off a building, choosing to marry her when she was at her poorest and most downcast. And now that she's wealthy, you want a divorce? You're just as unpredictable as you were in college. Chen Tao smiled as he poured hot tea for both of us. I couldn't help but laugh at myself. Tao, back then, her family was almost ruined and I could control her both financially and emotionally. But now, she's the most beautiful woman in Shanghai, the richest person in the city, and I'm just a 9-to-5 office worker. Do you really think I can still control her? Chen Tao let out a soft sigh and remained silent. He picked up the teacup, drank half of it, leaned back in the wooden chair and looked at Chen Tao. You've handled so many divorce cases. I think you should understand the principle best. Afraid of your brother suffering, yet also afraid of your brother driving a Land Rover. Women are even worse. They might just find someone new. Bai Ningbing cheated on you? Chen Tao asked, somewhat uncertainly. Thinking back to the scene in the restroom earlier, I could only analyze it with some uncertainty. Not sure, but it's probably not far off. Chen Tao lightly tapped the table. Isn't that enough? Thought crimes are real crimes. If you just advised them in time, sentencing them to death is a bit excessive. Hearing Chen Tao's words, I wavered for a few seconds. Then I thought of Bai Ningbing's indifferent remarks. If a woman doesn't reject a man, doesn't that mean she tacitly allows him to take the next step? Chuckling, Tao, tell me, in the divorce cases you've handled, how many people have been able to turn back from the brink? By the time it reaches court, no one remains dignified. Chen Tao was stumped by my question, but still furrowed his brow and advised. Brother, it just happened. You're being a bit too calm. From the moment her company turned around, I prepared myself for situations like this. Not just this He Chang, but also her male secretary and others. I didn't continue here as some things didn't need to be said for Chen Tao to understand. How many times have I gone to Bai Ningbing's company as her husband, only to have to make an appointment in advance to see her? Every day, there are roses of different varieties on her desk. I've seen her having meals with her male secretary. And once, through a crack in the door, I saw her male secretary zipping up her dress after they had finished tidying up. I knocked and entered, then handed her the old hen soup I had stewed all morning. When she got off work, Bai Ningbing's driver came to my house specially to deliver the lunchbox with the chicken soup. Not a drop of the soup was missing and even the bow I had tied remained untouched. But there was a piece of ash on top. After listening to me calmly recount each matter, Chen Tao nodded with a smile and said, You should give a lecture to my clients, telling them not to spend all day thinking about fighting over family assets and lawsuits. It's different. A wife who has shared hardships or a husband who has weathered tough times together, accompanying their partner from the lowest point to glory, no one would willingly give that up. Any man would find it hard to let go of such an outstanding and beautiful wife. And I'm no exception. Looking out the window at the bustling traffic, I spoke helplessly. There's no other way. Tearing things apart not only lacks dignity, but could also leave me with nothing. It's better to end things with some grace now and take what I rightfully deserve. At the same time, I secretly made up my mind that before the divorce, I would go and meet this He Chang. When Bai Ningbing returned home, I was in the living room watching the program where He Chang interviewed her. Bai Ningbing sat beside me. How is it? Your wife looks good on camera, right? Many men online call me their wife. She acted very naturally, which made me doubt that the gift she gave to He Chang was just a model of an AMG car. I've always wanted a sports coupe, I said casually. Bai Ningbing's eyes crinkled with amusement. All right, let's go by whichever one you like. He glanced at her casually. A Mercedes AMG. Bai Ningbing's smile froze for a moment. Then she pursed her lips. Didn't you say the Panamera was beautiful before? He nodded with a smile. Sure. Then let's go with the Panamera, but I want the top-of-the-line model. I chose the top-of-the-line model because my car must be more expensive than the AMG GT63. The day after picking up the car, it experienced its first collision, a head-on embrace with He Chang's AMG. He Chang stood gloomily on the curb, his eyes dark and brooding. The collision of luxury cars attracted a crowd of onlookers and, before long, traffic police arrived at the scene. Mr. He Chang, the surveillance and dashcam footage shows that you are fully responsible for changing lanes across the solid line. He Chang looked heartbroken at his beloved car, completely ignoring the traffic police's words. His AMG had a dent on the side that was hit, the headlight was shattered, and the tire had flown off. Who's the idiot driving? Couldn't they have just let me change lanes? I don't care about getting points deducted. Are you happy now? Both cars need major repairs. He Chang's eyes were red, his face full of grievance. The effeminate demeanor left the traffic police bewildered. Could the argument really be made this way? The drivers stuck behind watched from the side and, upon hearing He Chang speak like that, their anger flared up immediately. Are you a woman? Do you need ladies first? You're driving an AMG GT and they're in a Panamera. You're being indulged. Humph, I'm a civilized person. I waited for the traffic police to arrive before getting out of the car to avoid unnecessary arguments. As soon as I opened the door, He Chang pointed at me and shouted, "Couldn't you have let me change lanes? I'm in a hurry." Oh, even driving a car worth over $1 million still needs to rush. Ha, this AMG GT63 doesn't seem to be changing anyone's fate. As he spoke, he looked up. When He Chang saw my face, his expression stiffened, and he clearly became nervous. He turned to the traffic police and said, "Once it's handled, I'll leave. Let the insurance company talk to the other party." With that, he left without looking back. I was planning for a divorce, but it seems He Chang is even more anxious than I am. Just now, everyone was driving straight ahead. It's possible he deliberately crossed the solid line to crash into me. When I got home, I called Chin Tao and asked, "Is the divorce agreement drafted yet?" On the other end of the line, Chin Tao paused for a moment. "Wait, old classmate, are you serious? I was hoping you'd reconsider and try to salvage things. Can't do it? Ha, then I'll find someone else tomorrow." No. Can I deliver it to you early tomorrow morning?" Before work the next day, Chin Tao handed me an envelope. Opening it, I found the divorce agreement I needed, detailed, and well organized. I neither lost out nor gained much after all. Even if I had invested capital initially as part of the founding team, the current returns would only be more, not less. I knocked and entered Bai Ning Bing's office. "Ms. Bai, there's something I need your help with." Bai Ning Bing leaned back in her executive chair, looking at me. "We're husband and wife, so feel free to ask for anything." Leaning forward with his hands on the desk, he looked closely at her delicate face. "Very good. I'm here to ask for something." "What is it?" "The key to the Mercedes-AMG GT63. Bai Ning Bing's expression froze for a moment as she stared into his eyes, neither of them backing down in their gaze. Finally, Bai Ning Bing forced out a smile. "Yi Fan, stop joking. It's just a car, not worth much." I didn't follow her line of thought and directly asked, "Can you give it to me?" Bai Ning Bing's eyebrows furrowed slightly as she stared at me for a few seconds, as if trying to confirm if I was joking, until I stared back at her expressionlessly. "I'll give it to you tomorrow." Bai Ning Bing finally gave in. I smiled and nodded, not saying much, and left the president's office directly. Before closing the door, Bai Ning Bing asked, "Are you jealous?" I stopped without turning back. "If you say so." Just as the door closed, the sound of a shattering water cup came from inside the office. After getting the keys to the AMG GT, I headed to the cafe downstairs from the City Evening News Weekly building. I invited He Chang out for a casual chat. I happened to run into He Chang as he came in, and he looked noticeably worse than he did during the TV interview. There are still some dark circles under the eyes, not sure if it's due to being asked to return something. Sitting at the table by the window, he pointed to the seat across from him. "Mr. Yi, please have a seat." When he saw the AMG key on the table, his pupils contracted, and then he sat down forcefully. "Mr. Yi, are you here to show off to me?" He Chang combed his hair with his hand, revealing a fair face. "It's just that for a strong woman like Ning Bing, if she gives something away and then asks for it back, she'll only compensate me with something even more valuable." I nodded in agreement. "Of course, I understand such a simple principle, but it's not a big deal. However, isn't Mr. Yi putting Ning Bing in an unfair position, making her lose face?" Looking at the self-assured He Chang, I quietly pushed the key in front of him. "Her reputation isn't worth much to me, Mr. He. With my current wealth, an AMG isn't something to boast about. The reason I'm coming back is just to..." Here, I paused for a few seconds, and He Chang looked at me with guarded suspicion, waving his hand and laughing. "Don't be nervous. I just want to give it to you openly and honestly." He Chang furrowed his brows. "What do you mean by that?" "If you want it, I can give it to you, but you can't take it by force, understand, dear brother." He Chang's face instantly turned pale, and the coffee in his hand spilled out directly. Placing the coffee on the table, he looked at me with a shocked expression. He thought I didn't know, but in fact, he is my half-brother. Having not seen each other for over 20 years, we both pretended not to know one another upon meeting again, but the moment I heard his name, I knew it was him. The day of the accident, he must have recognized me. Of course, if you want to win over Bai Ning Bing, how could you not inquire about her husband's information? Based on my understanding of that stepmother, when He Chang gets together with Bai Ning Bing, she will drag He Chang to apologize to me, and then He Chang will choke back tears. Brother, it's all my fault. I didn't know Bai Ning Bing was my sister-in-law. Just kidding. If I could have anticipated these things, I wouldn't have let them happen. Back in the day, how did this mother and son treat us? My mother was kicked out of the house, and she left with nothing. I learned one thing: strike first or you'll be struck first. After a long silence, the corners of my mouth lifted into a kind smile. I plan to divorce Bai Ning Bing. Upon hearing this, He Chang's previously low spirits instantly surged with excitement, his eyes shining as he looked at me. I then added, but you won't become her husband. This will be written into the divorce agreement. Before He Chang could fully digest the pleasant surprise, I plunged him into despair. His eyes reddened, his lips trembling as he said, Brother, we were still young back then. I didn't understand anything. I was innocent. All these years, Mom and Dad have been trying to find you. Without saying too much, we are brothers bound by blood. Raising a hand to stop him from playing the emotional card any further, I scoffed. He Chang, I fell for it once with you, but there won't be a second time. Save your act. He Chang's face darkened, clearly not expecting me to be so unyielding and unmoved. Then, leaning back lazily in the chair, I added, Ning Bing has complained to me that your marriage has a lot of issues, and that being with you is exhausting. I didn't deny it. Maybe so, but you still don't stand a chance. After saying that, I stood up and prepared to leave. Little brother, I made a profit by having you divorced by Ning Bing. I glanced at him out of the corner of my eye. Stop being so damn self-righteous. At most, you're just a fuse. With that, I pushed the door open and left. After returning home, I started picking on Bai Ning Bing, finding all sorts of reasons to argue and give her the cold shoulder. After all, we were getting a divorce. It wouldn't be appropriate to keep acting all lovey-dovey. And if she wanted to find someone to take over, why did it have to be the son of my stepmother, who had a grudge against me? The wedding planning company contacted me to discuss the specific details of the wedding venue setup. I told them directly that the wedding is postponed, and we'll talk about it later. Bai Ning Bing heard that the wedding was canceled and came home to confront me. She took the divorce agreement out of her bag and said, Take a look, and if you have no objections, sign it. Yi Fan, have you lost your mind? Bai Ning Bing looked at me with an expression of disbelief. Sitting calmly on the sofa, I looked at her expressionlessly. Do I look crazy to you? You know better than anyone how we've been getting along these past few years. We've been on the brink of divorce for a long time. Bai Ning Bing took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. Is it because of He Chang? I know he's your half-brother. I threw the divorce agreement directly at her, finally unable to hold back and shouting. You don't know a damn thing. If you knew about my relationship with him, you shouldn't have gotten close to him. I know. It's just angrily pointing a finger at Bai Ning Bing. Having a few bucks makes you superior, huh? You can look down on everyone, huh? She opened her mouth slightly, her eyes wide, her face full of disbelief. In the several years of our marriage, I had never been this angry before. After a while, Bai Ning Bing reached out and hugged me. I just wanted you to reconcile with your father. I've been hesitating whether to do this all this time, and I didn't expect you to find out. Could it be that I misunderstood her? Thinking of this, anger turned into sadness, and tears unwillingly streamed down. Bai Ning Bing, you don't know anything at all. Bai Ning Bing shook her head. No, that's not it. I know you went to see a psychologist 5 years ago. I know everything. Pushing Bai Ning Bing away. You don't know the pain of others, so don't advise them to be kind. You don't know how my family fell apart back then. My father had tens of millions, but he made my mother leave with nothing and lost custody of me. She fell into depression and was always in low spirits. Bai Ning Bing looked incredulous. Maybe you misunderstood, just like you misunderstood my relationship with He Chang. I gave him the car because my flirtatious friend Lu Ruian likes him. I used the car to get his attention. After all, he's still your brother at the end of the day. You don't understand at all. That woman with He Chang has taken over our home, flaunting her power, forcing my mother out, transferring assets, and even trying to murder me. If I hadn't left home early, you wouldn't be seeing me now. Now, whether Bai Ning Bing just sees He Chang as an elder brother or not, He Chang is determined to follow in his mother's footsteps and take over. picking up the divorce agreement from the ground and handing it to Bai Ningbing. Remember, when we got married, we agreed that if either of us wanted a divorce, the other wouldn't stop them. You can decide on the property, but I demand that your future husband cannot be Yi Chang. Bai Ningbing didn't take the agreement, just looked at me with red eyes. Yi Fan, how can you do this to me? Then she pressed me against the wall by my shoulders. Why? What have I done to make you treat me so harshly? Gently pushing her hands away, I looked out the window. Ningbing, years from now, you'll thank me. Human nature is not something to be tested. Bai Ningbing wrapped her arms around my waist, burying her face in my chest. Honey, do we really have to come to this? Please don't do this. I hope you'll consider all these years I've worked for you. Even if there's no great merit, at least there's been hard work. Bai Ningbing looked up at me angrily, in stark contrast to my calm expression and unruffled eyes. Bai Ningbing pushed me away, picked up the pen on the table, quickly signed her name at the end of the divorce agreement, threw the pen aside, shoved the agreement into my hand, and turned to leave directly. After finishing the procedures, I went to buy groceries and cook at my mom's apartment. Although she left with nothing, my mom eventually found a job to support herself. After I started earning an income, my mother managed to bring me over to her side, and from then on, we relied on each other. It wasn't until I married Bai Ningbing that she mentioned she wasn't used to living with her mother-in-law, so I moved out. When she opened the door and saw me, my mother's face lit up with a smile. She then glanced behind me and said, "Good son, why didn't you bring your wife along?" I froze for a second. If I told her now that I had just divorced Bai Ningbing, she'd probably blow a fuse, so I could only make the excuse that she had a meeting. Mom let out an "oh," and then reminded me, Ningbing has already achieved success in her career. It's time to consider having a child. Seeing my troubled expression, Mom took my hand and said, "Has Ningbing been avoiding pregnancy all along?" When work was busy before, it made sense not to have a child, but now her company is quite stable, right? She can't keep finding other excuses, can't she? During the meal, Mom sighed several times over this matter. If I continue with Bai Ningbing, I might end up like my mom, depressed, insecure, and constantly worrying about what Bai Ningbing is up to outside. I can only take it slow and let things unfold naturally. Back in the day, when Bai Ningbing and I rented that basement room, we talked about having kids. Without the means or the time, having a child would only add more pressure on me. Thinking back to the economic conditions at that time and how both of us were busy from morning till night, it really wasn't the right time to have a child back then. Bai Ningbing was pure and kind-hearted, saying that if the business failed and we went bankrupt, she could leave me so I could find someone else. After saying that, she was severely punished by me. From then on, the couple worked together with one heart, and things gradually turned around. Looking back on those days, although they were tough, Bai Ningbing and I could talk about anything. She's a cold and aloof beauty as a CEO in public, but at home, she's all sorts of playful with me. She barges into the bathroom while I'm showering, always slapping my butt for no reason. She loves to grab my crotch when sleeping. A total female rogue. Past events are like fleeting clouds. After finishing a meal, I'm about to bring up the topic of divorce with my mom. She stood up, clearing the dishes while lecturing me. For a woman, a child can tie her heart down. Having a child brings stability. I couldn't help but retort, that person became wealthy. Mom, you gave birth to me, but in the end, you didn't gain anything. Upon hearing this, my mother froze, her face turning pale. Realizing I had spoken out of turn, I quickly stood up. I'm sorry, Mom. I shouldn't have said that. Mom shook her head. I'm the one who should apologize. I haven't fulfilled my responsibilities as a mother. Mom glanced at me, wiping her tears with her sleeve. It's good that you understand my intentions. You're a good child and will manage your family well on your own. I nodded. Yes, I've divorced Bai Ningbing, so you don't need to worry about these situations anymore. After saying that, I took the divorce certificate out of my pocket. Mom looked at me in shock, snatched the green booklet from my hand, and opened it to examine it carefully. After watching, she slapped my arm. Yifan, you're trying to drive me crazy, aren't you? Ningbing treated you so well, and now you're acting like you're above everyone, huh? Seeing my mom's heartbroken expression, I took out a bottle of Brave the Heavens from the fridge, took a big gulp, and said, Don't worry, I got a lot of money in the divorce. We'll be set for life. And then what? Are you satisfied with just that? My mom glared at me, still not fully recovering from the shock of my divorce. I nodded. Of course. What's there not to be satisfied with? I initiated the divorce, and after it was announced through Yi Chang's hands, he would only belittle me to elevate Bai Ningbing. In the end, it wouldn't harm her or the company. Instead, it would cause the stock price to soar. My mother watched me take sip after sip of wine and sat beside me, asking softly, "You two really can't reconcile?" I know my mother has always liked Bai Ningbing. In the past, she was well-educated, thrifty, and managed the household diligently. Even after becoming wealthy, she often bought things for my mother, and when she was with me, acted gentle, submissive, and extremely filial. She just didn't understand that a woman standing at the pinnacle of her career couldn't see the scenery from the foothills she once knew, those people around her before. She didn't even have time to reminisce or think about them, and they gradually faded away and grew distant. "Mom, you know, after we separated, I've been sleeping soundly and eating like a horse." Her mother wiped her tears with 2 tissues, her voice choked with emotion. "It's all my fault. Back then, being driven out made you lose faith in marriage." I smiled and shook my head. "Don't talk nonsense, Mom. It has nothing to do with that. Most of her company's partners are divorced. I've seen a lot, and some things are just inevitable. There's something I didn't say. Those who haven't divorced are also tacitly playing separately." Mom held my hand with heartache. "Ningbing is different from them. She's not that kind of person. You have to believe in her." Mom only saw one side of the matter, never imagining the other side. Taking a sip of wine, I continued. "Mom, I'm just an ordinary office worker, but Bai Ningbing hasn't reached her end yet. She won't be content with just being the richest in a city. In a few years, she might even go global, becoming a well-known, powerful woman. Bai Ningbing never really let me suffer any grievances, but as her status and wealth grew day by day, life became more affluent, yet I felt increasingly unsettled inside. In the past, everyone knew my name, but later, people simply referred to me as Mr. Bai's husband. After leaving my mother's apartment, I packed my bags and embarked on a journey around the world, from South America to Antarctica, and then to the Maldives. Sipping juice and watching the beauties on the beach, I didn't expect my phone to ring. To my surprise, it was my cheap dad, who only calls once every few years. I answered the phone, and a low, slightly hoarse voice came from the other end. "Xiao Fan, I heard you and Ningbing got divorced. Why not come work at Dad's company? After all, this company will eventually be left to you and your brother." I sneered. "Mr. He, you're getting more confused as you age. Your company has long been in decline. Otherwise, why would you be so thrilled over just one AMG?" On the other end of the line, my dad started coughing repeatedly, followed by that woman's voice. "Yifan, don't get too cocky. In a while, my son will win over Bai Ningbing, and will invite you to the wedding. Make sure you come." With a cold snort, he spoke into the phone. "Old hag, you're just as shameless as you were back then." From the phone came the voice of his cheap old man reprimanding her. "Two brothers fighting over one woman, do you still have any shame? He Chang can marry anyone, but not Bai Ningbing. Old man, are you senile? Don't you know what's going on with Bai Ningbing now? If it weren't for her annual orders, this crappy company would have gone bankrupt long ago. I don't care. A woman who's fickle and unfaithful will never set foot in my He family's home." "Oh, you're so noble. You're so amazing." Back in the day, I sneered and hung up the phone directly. Listening to them argue was just ridiculous. That man married his mistress, and now his own son is about to become someone else's mistress. Truly, what goes around comes around. Just as I was traveling the world and having a great time, my mom called me. "Son, that guy surnamed he sent over some documents. It seems like he wants to transfer some of his assets to you." I furrowed my brow and asked, "What? Is the old bastard finally kicking the bucket?" My mother sighed. "Probably not that soon. Maybe it's just old age catching up, and he's finally found his conscience." I snorted coldly through my nose. "Mom, tell him this, the compensation I got from my divorce is 100 times his assets. I don't care about his measly little fortune. Not everyone is like him, stingy with their first wife. True, he can't compare to Ningbing." Just about to hang up the phone, Mom suddenly said, "By the way, Ningbing has been coming over for dinner every day lately, and she even apologizes when she can't make it." I responded indifferently. Mom added, "She wasn't this diligent even when you two were married, and Ningbing doesn't have any scandals either." I felt inexplicably annoyed. "Mom, you don't have to entertain her when she comes in the future. After playing around for over 2 months, I still feel a bit unaccustomed to wandering aimlessly abroad." Just 2 days after returning home, Chin Tao called to invite me to a class reunion, insisting that I must attend now that I'm unemployed. Saying I don't have time doesn't seem quite reasonable. As for why I don't like attending class reunions, it's all about eating, drinking, having fun, gossiping, hooking up, and comparing with others. When Chin Tao and I arrived at the private room, the conversation inside was in full swing. Back then, I said it, Bai Ningbing and Yifan would eventually get divorced. Once you're rich, who wouldn't want to enjoy life? Yeah, Yifan must be regretting it so much now. After being poor for a few years, he ended up with nothing. If you ask me, it would have been different if he had chosen Enlon back then. Then another person stepped forward to speak. Stop being jealous and saying the grapes are sour when you can't have them. Haven't you watched TV? This is the highest domestic divorce settlement record. Don't look at Yifan now as if he's down and out. His assets still outmatch ours. Also, just a reminder, Enlon isn't even married yet. The person who was rebutted didn't take it well and directly asserted. It must be Bai Ningbing playing around too much outside, being unfaithful to Yifan. Otherwise, why would that kind-hearted man choose to divorce? That's true. On the surface, she got a sky-high settlement, but who knows if she's crying her eyes out in private. Even if she is, it's probably in the style of a pampered poodle, haha. Hearing this, I smiled and looked at Chin Tao. The alumni gathering is truly full of hidden talents. Chin Tao rubbed his nose. It's just Jiang Chang who has a loose tongue. It's the first time the whole class has gathered since high school graduation. Many came just to see you, so just bear with it. No wonder he can be a renowned lawyer. He knows how to say all the right things. Though there's some truth to it, I'm quite popular and still the richest. Although this money is part of the breakup fee Bai Ningbing gave me. Pushing the door open, high school classmates I hadn't seen in a long time stood up one after another to greet me. Chin Tao was the class monitor and the organizer of this gathering. Clapping his hands to get everyone's attention, he said, "We're all old classmates here. Tonight, eat, drink, and have fun to your heart's content. Whoever has the most savings pays the bill." After saying that, he patted me on the back. Seeing this scene, everyone instantly understood who the unlucky one would be and applauded and cheered in unison. The atmosphere at the venue became unusually lively. As everyone gradually quieted down, I smiled wryly and had no choice but to go along with it. I hope everyone enjoys themselves tonight. After a few rounds of drinks, Chin Tao put his arm around my shoulder and said, "We originally planned to have a big reunion for the class of 12, but we decided it was too much trouble." I understood what Chin Tao meant. Bai Ningbing, the school beauty of our year, was from a different class. Now that I'm divorced from her, she's the most famous and wealthiest among our alumni. Yifan cheers, I really envy you. Back then, the two campus belles were fighting over you, and Enlon still isn't married. The one toasting was a high school classmate, though I don't remember him well. After drinking with him, he turned to the crowd and said, "If I had to say who I admired most in high school, it would definitely be our big brother Yifan. Marrying the campus belle when she went bankrupt and divorcing her when she became the richest person in our city." Everyone burst into laughter upon hearing this. Seeing this, Chin Tao quickly clapped to draw attention. At the class reunion, let's not just talk about Yifan. It's been years since we last saw each other. Everyone should share a bit about their own lives. With Chin Tao's interruption, the class reunion gradually returned to normal, and everyone began introducing their work, studies, and lives. Before long, the door to the private room was pushed open. The voice arrived before the person. "Chin Tao, you're really going too far. How could you not invite me to such an important occasion as the class reunion? At the very least, you should have let me host and treat everyone to a meal." A playful voice, clear as a bell, instantly captured everyone's attention. Looking up, a beautiful woman in an OL uniform walked into the private room, her high heels clicking rhythmically. Seeing this, Chin Tao gave an awkward smile. "I just thought you were busy with work, President Bai, and didn't want to disturb you." Upon seeing the legendary female billionaire and campus belle, the classmates instinctively stood up. Bai Ningbing pulled out a chair and sat down with a smile, a bit helplessly saying, "That won't do. No matter how busy I am, I have to come over, or my husband really will divorce me." When Bai Ningbing said this, everyone's eyes focused on me, their faces filled with confusion and shock. I was puzzled. "You, the high cold Ice Mountain Beauty president, why are you always bothering me for no reason?" And with the divorce agreement signed, the divorce certificate obtained, and living separately, what more do you want? Chin Tao saw my awkward expression and, knowing the reason behind it, quickly chimed in. "Brother Fan, you're a golden bachelor now. What are you looking for in a partner? If it doesn't work out, I could even take a trip to Thailand for a little adjustment, haha." I rested my chin on my hand and thought seriously. Someone more mature, like an older sister type, who knows how to care for others. Bai Ningbing's face darkened upon hearing this. That afternoon, when I went for my psychological counseling session, my supervising doctor and fellow alum, and Lan, also asked, Yifan, now that you're divorced, what kind of person are you planning to find next? My answer back then was the Bai Ningbing from back then. And Lan lowered her head and chuckled softly, still not giving me any face at all. When a girl asks this question, you should just answer, someone like you, even if it's a lie. I sighed softly. Sorry, and Lan, you know me. In this lifetime, I will only ever love one person. Even if we're apart. As the gathering was about to end, I stepped out early, encountering Lan, who hadn't left yet. You've been drinking. Let me take you back. Sitting in the passenger seat, looking at Lan with her exquisite makeup and stunning beauty, I thought about lightening the mood. Lan, now, if I snap my fingers, you'll forget that you've eaten shit. I snapped my fingers right away, and Lan was momentarily stunned, raising her hand to stop me. Wait, I haven't eaten it. I nodded. I know. Seeing my perfunctory response, Lan quickly emphasized, I haven't eaten it, do you understand? I understand. I understand. I really haven't eaten it. I nodded in agreement. Of course, I understand. Lan grew a bit anxious. No, that's not it. You can't suddenly say something inexplicable and then claim I've eaten it. I haven't forgotten. So, you remember now? I haven't eaten it. You understand, right? Yes. Yes. Yes, you haven't eaten it, of course. Lan raised her little fist to hit me, her voice raised several decibels. I haven't eaten it. I haven't eaten it. I held her hand. All right. All right. Let's not think about what we've forgotten. It's okay. It's okay. Knock. 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 A tapping sound came from outside the car window. Following the sound, I saw my ex-wife, Bai Ningbing, glaring at the two of us with a fierce expression. I opened the door and got out of the car. You're quick on your feet. Already found someone else so soon. Bai Ningbing gritted her teeth with a grinding sound, shot me a glare, then pulled me behind her before suddenly slapping Lan, who had just stepped out of the car. Lan stumbled and nearly fell. I quickly grabbed Bai Ningbing. What are you doing? I never expected that just a little intimacy between me and Lan would lead Bai Ningbing to resort to violence right away. Bai Ningbing's chest heaved violently. She deserved it. I wanted to say that we're already divorced, so who I get close to is none of your business, but then I heard Bai Ningbing point at Lan and say, Lan, is it really okay for you to scheme against me like this? Lan touched her face, looking directly at Bai Ningbing. I did have the idea of scheming against you, but I also told you that this approach carries risks and could very well end in failure. Desperate measures for survival aren't suitable for everyone. Noticing the unusual tension between the two women, I calmed down and looked at them both. Lan is my psychologist, something I never mentioned to Bai Ningbing before, as I was afraid she might get jealous. Bai Ningbing pulled me toward the rockery pond. The evening breeze gently stirred her long hair, carrying with it a refreshing fragrance. Bai Ningbing looked up slightly at me. A few months ago, Lan told me that you have serious psychological issues, a lack of security in family and marriage, and that only by reconciling with your original family could you resolve your inner conflicts. Hearing her words, I frowned and remained silent, ready to listen as she continued. Bai Ningbing glanced at the pool. Back then, the company was about to go public, and the city magazine wanted to interview me. When I found out that person was your half-brother, I thought I'd try to get in touch. Maybe it could help resolve your issues. And back then, my flirtatious best friend, Lu Ruyan, was pursuing Yi Chang. I was worried she would toy with your brother's feelings, so I pretended to be flirtatious with him to stop Lu Ruyan from ruining him. My thoughts were a bit chaotic, and I didn't know how to respond. Bai Ningbing clenched her small fist, her expression one of clenched teeth and anger. Humph, that woman, Lan, schemed against me. There was no way you, Yi Chang, and his mother could ever reconcile. By doing this, I would only push you, who already lack security, further away from me. Looking into Bai Ningbing's eyes, I knew she wasn't lying. And this matter was finally resolved. Let's remarry, prepare for pregnancy, and then I'll have a litter for you, okay? Thinking of the usually mischievous Lan, this was indeed her style. Even the ever-clever Bai Ningbing was fooled by her. I sighed. I'm very grateful that you've resolved one of my heartaches, but the divorce still stands. You and I are about to embark on different paths. I want to live a simple life with a wife, children, and a warm home. You want to strive for success and become the best of the best. Everything was different from what Bai Ningbing had expected. She started to feel desperate. If you think I have too much money, I'll donate it all. He shook his head helplessly. Let me go, and let yourself go. We are on different paths and cannot work together. Bai Ningbing's eyes were filled with sorrow. Then she seemed to give up. Then come home and have a drink with me. When I woke up, it was already morning. Seeing the torn Balenciaga and lingerie scattered on the floor, I fell into deep thought. After that, Bai Ningbing stopped bothering me and started bothering my mom instead. A month later, right while I was having a meal with my mom, she pulled out a pregnancy test. I couldn't understand it, but after my mom saw it, her eyes lit up, and she immediately went to make soup for Bai Ningbing. That day, I took Bai Ningbing for a prenatal checkup. Seeing a handsome guy next to me wearing sunglasses and driving a Ferrari, so cool. What's wrong, honey? Do you want it? I stared fixedly at the Ferrari. Yeah, I want it. If you like it, I'll buy you one. Turning to Bai Ningbing. Seriously, that must be expensive. Bai Ningbing said decisively. Of course, isn't making money all about improving the quality of life? Besides, if I don't spend my money on my husband, who else would I spend it on? I gave Bai Ningbing a peck on the cheek. So, when are we going to the car show? Bai Ningbing looked at me puzzled. Why would we go to a car show to buy sunglasses?